Hey everyone, Leo with Dreaming Tree, and welcome to the assembly video for our gardening box card. I've got all of my pieces cut out, as should you, and what I've done was kind of broken this up into little segments so it's easier to understand and to kind of visualize what we're doing. So we're going to work on assembling the little inserts first. Okay, so of course you want to take and fold everything at the little score marks here. We're going to begin by just assembling this little flower here. Okay, so again, with these smaller pieces here, you don't need to go crazy with the glue, so just go easy on the glue and just a few little dots, and then if you feel like it's a little too thick, just wipe some of it off with your finger. And let's match that up with the little shadow of the flower. Then we can take the little overlay and get that glued down. Just very simple. There's a lot of little pieces here, but it's not hard. This is more or less kind of like scrapbooking right now until we get to the actual assembly of the box mechanism, but all pretty easy stuff, okay? So next, we're gonna take this layer, and glue it to this layer like so. Okay, so let's get our glue on the back of this. I'm going to glue that to my little green piece there with the green or the white little polka dots. I've had many a conversation with many of our dreamers recently, and the thing that constantly gets brought up is spring and gardening. It's nice to know that our crafty community also has, well, for the most part, a nice green thumb. Okay, so that part's glued down. We're going to take this large piece and get that glued into place. Now, of course, inking is optional, but I did ink the majority of the items on this card here. Actually, pretty much most of it. Okay, and then we've got this little piece just to give this a little bit of a two-toned look and feel. Pop that right onto, there we go, just like that. Okay. Whoops. All right, now this element is going to get glued on flat right onto this little shadow layer. So go ahead and get your glue on the back of this, like so. And just need to match that up. I'm using the little handle as my guide for placement. Just making sure that it's nice and lined up. There we go. Okay, so there we have it. Looks good. Make sure it's all sitting nice and flat. And what I would do is just pop this underneath your mat just so that it dries flat for us, okay? Next, we're gonna move over to this guy here. Let me move this out of the way. Just pull this over. Okay, so this is the main mechanical part, but because this is kind of tall with the little birdhouse, we're going to double this up. Okay, so we're going to take this entire piece, it's going to go right on the front, and we're just going to glue this down flat. And I would focus on the perimeter first. Just make sure that we've got that covered. And then just a little bit along the inside is fine. There we go. And I'm using the little roof sections here as my visual guide to make sure that I've got it placed correctly. And that looks good. Press that down. Okay. Next, we're going to take this piece, and you can see that I kind of pretty heavily inked this. Now, this is very simple as well. This is just going to go right here. You can kind of look at the little roof and just make sure that you get that aligned correctly. We're going to put glue on this entire element. Okay, just work your way around the perimeter. Definitely want that to stay in place, and then just a little bit along the inside. There we go. Same thing here, using the little parts of the roof as my guide. Make sure it's flush at the top as well, pardon my head. Sometimes you gotta get in there. And press that down, there we go. Now we have this little shape here. Half of it looks like a circle and the other half of it looks like a little football. Obviously, well, the football part is gonna go towards the left there. Okay, we just wanna make sure that we get that lined up correctly. So it just gives it kind of a dimensional look. A couple dots of glue on there will do. You can kind of spread that out. And just pop that right in like that. And we have what looks like a little sprinkle. And I'm assuming that's the little perch. Just throw a few little drops of glue on that. And there's a little marker there to help you with the placement of that. Just to make sure you get it nice and aligned and centered. And press that down. Okay. Next, we're going to take this piece, and that's going to get glued down. So go ahead and get your glue going. Now, aside from inking, there are a few little sections on this card that I also embossed, including the piece that's going to go on top of this piece. And I'll show you that here in a second. But let's get this lined up. Okay, there we go, just like that. Need to nudge that over just a tad. Here we go. And here is the little roof part that I inked and embossed. And you can see here that with this wood grain, sometimes it really kind of rips up the paper. And I'm going to try to salvage that. Actually, when I did the front of the card with this embossing folder, I had to use a different machine, a different embossing machine that gives off less, or uses less pressure to emboss things. And you do need to make sure that you get this lined up correctly. It only fits one way accurately. Luckily, I don't have any glue showing there, so I lucked out there. Okay, there we go. So that's that, and then we have a cute little birdie that we need to assemble. And we're going to start off with this layer here where you have his beak and his little toes. This part is going to go on top. Okay, the blue part is his little feather section. Okay, and now this part here is going to be kind of like his chest and his face. And we just want to get that matched up with the previous layer, just like that. And there are two layers to the feathers. We're going to start off with this larger layer. That's going to go on first, and then we're going to put the smaller one right on top. And you don't have to use any foam squares or anything. It'll give plenty of dimension on this next layer. But overall, we are going to actually use a foam square on this entire piece. I'll show you that in a second here. So get that lined up. So this is kind of looking like maybe it's a blue jay, I'm guessing, since he's blue. I guess it doesn't have to be, but that's kind of what I think it is. And I have a tiny little piece of paper in there that just kind of looks unsightly. I'm going to try to rub that off. There we go. Okay. So he's looking cute. And then finally, the second layer of the wing. Just throw a few little dots of glue on there. Very thin. And we're just going to match that up with the existing little wing there as well. But you can see once we get it on there how it gives it a more three-dimensional look. Okay, now I am going to use a little rhinestone or a pearl for his eye. So look for that in the final photo. But we are going to actually take this, and I'm wondering if I have enough room on here to put a large, let me see if I can put a large one on here. Yeah, okay, so right around the belly area, I'm going to put a foam square there. And he is hanging out on top of the roof. And let's see, he's going to be right about there. Okay, all right. So that one is done. Again, don't forget the little rhinestone for his eyeball. we'll put that off to the side and just keep on cruising here to the next layer. And this is another insert layer. Okay. Got quite a bit going on with this layer here. That's okay, not difficult though. All right, so we're gonna start off with just this flower here. It's just a single layer. So I'll just do a few little dots and pop it right on there. Okay, we've got a little terracotta pot, and this is gonna go on completely flat. The actual floral layer is gonna get pop dotted. We'll talk about that here in a second. And pop that right into place. Just match it up with the existing little shadow layer. Okay, and now let's put this piece on next. So we've got this layer here. Okay, we're gonna put this piece on like so. So let's get our glue on this entire little element here. And we do have kind of like a little shadow of one of the flowers. And that's just to help you make sure that you get it in the right position. Line that up with the little shadow portion on the green layer. Make sure it's nice and accurate. Okay, and you'll notice this little flower here, like it's almost like it's kind of cut off a little bit, or it's just odd shaped. Go ahead and put some glue on that and I'll show you where it goes. You could probably guess. This one is actually going right on this little, I think this is stone or ash, the color of the paper. It's gonna go right there. Okay, then we have this guy. It looks like he got like a bad haircut kinda at the bottom there. It's kind of like a flat bottom, and that's going to go right here just like that. And then we have one more little tulip. It's going to go right there. You can kind of see the green shadow, and that's going to go right here. Okay, now we can take this entire element and that's going to get glued right onto that section there. So go ahead and do that. Let's go easy with the glue here. Don't need a ton. Try to get it out to the very tips of some of these little elements so that they don't come pulling off accidentally. There we go. And just match that up with the previous layer as accurately as you can. And there we go. Okay, so now I got this part in place. You can leave that there. Let's grab this, and we're going to start off with this terracotta color. This is going to go on next. So let's get that glued into place. We do need to put glue on the entire element here. Go ahead and do that. Try to work a little bit of glue out to the very tips of these leaves. Go easy on the inside. Okay, and just pop that right onto this section here, like so. Match it up as accurately as you can, and press that down. Next, we're going to take this piece and glue it right on top of there as well. It's a little difficult sometimes gluing on a white pattern paper. It's almost hard to decipher where the glue is sometimes unless you look extra close. So if you're using a similar pattern, just be careful and make sure that you're not either overdoing it with the glue or not getting enough on there. And just line that up. There we go. And then we have 5 of these little flowers. And you'll notice on this piece here that we do have some indicators to help you with the positioning of each of these little flowers. So make sure you use those to your advantage. I'm just using one little dot of glue, and I'll place them into the appropriate spots. We'll definitely hit that with a little pearl or a rhinestone, just to give it like the appearance of a little stamen in the center. That'll look nice. There's the next one, just a few more to go. And then we can work on the actual structure of our card. Okay, here we go. And just a couple more. And then as I mentioned, this is actually going to get pop dotted or foam squared onto the other part there. Okay. And the last one. And there we go. Perfect. Okay, so now the idea here is for this bottom part to match up with this little rectangular section there. So it almost looks like that's the little lip of the planter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put, I don't want to put it all the way down there. So just in case you look at it from underneath, I don't want to see the foam square. So I'll go a little bit up. Okay, and then we're going to take this, line it up with this little rectangle, just like that. And you know what I should have done? I'm going to peel this off real quick because I should have put a little bit of ink on the bottom of this. I actually still have my, yeah, that ink pad's not really working. I gotta fix that. It kind of stands out like a sore thumb. I want to darken that a little bit, give it a little bit of a rusty color, just so that it blends better with the rest of the little planter. There we go. That's all I needed. Okay, let's match that up. And there we go. Make sure it's vertical. And there we go. Okay, so that one's done. Now we can move on to the actual card base and main structure here. I've got that here. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to do some gluing while this thing's flat. Okay, so this is the front, and you can see a series of little markers, and that's to help you with the positioning of these little kind of like reclaimed wood sort of looking pieces. Again, I ran this through an embossing folder in my embossing machine, and there's certain embossing folders that really are, they really stress out the paper, they really stretch it, and occasionally they do tear it. So be careful. If you notice that it came out teared and you see, or torn on one side, take a look at the face of it, and if it's obvious that it's really beat up, I would cut it again and maybe try to emboss it with less pressure or a different machine if you have one. If you don't, then I would probably just omit the embossing completely. But that looks pretty good. Okay, so on the right-hand side, find a piece that looks similar to this. When I'm looking at it, I almost feel like on the top left, it's almost like a face with a kind of a pronounced chin. Okay, and you won't see that on this one. This one actually has kind of like a nose. It's going to go on the other side. So the one that has almost like a little pronounced little chin at the top left, that's the one you want to put on this side. Honestly, I think if you mix them up, I don't think it's going to make that big of a deal, but I'm just making sure that I go over the way that it was designed to be. And I'm giving you all that accurate information, but honestly, I don't think it's really going to make that big of a difference. Okay, so that one's there. And then this one here almost looks like it has a little nose. And that's going to go right here. So definitely, if you haven't gotten into embossing, it is something that you should look into. It really can take just a flat textured piece of paper and give it a whole new vibe, whole new feel. It really makes the stuff stand out. Okay, so that one is going to go there. There is like a little handle on the front. Okay, and it's going to go on like this. I'm just going to match that up with the existing little holes that are there. Okay, and we'll go easy with the glue here. Nice and easy. And just kind of thin that out. Pop that right over the little cutouts for the hole. Okay, so that's that. And then as you can see here, we do have a couple little floral elements. One of them, you'll notice that on top of this little wooden area, there's a few little score marks, and that is for just to help you with the positioning of this. So what I'm doing with this flower is I'm actually, you know what, I don't know if this even matters too much right now because this is going to fold flat, but it will remember some of this. When I say it will remember, what I mean is the kind of the memory in the paper. Take the petal and place it between your finger and the dowel. Bring the petal towards you about 90 degrees and then just run the dowel through it. And that's going to give it a little bit of a curve. You're going to do that on all of the petals. So again, just putting the petal between my finger and my dowel, bringing the petal back about 90 degrees and run the dowel through. Okay, and you can kind of see where it needs to go. I'm just going to put a little drop of glue right on the back of this and just line that up. Doesn't have to be perfect, just get it in the vicinity. And there is a tiny, tiny little circle here that we're going to put one drop of glue on, and that's going to go right in the center of our flower. You could probably omit that and just use a little rhinestone or a dowel if you prefer. Okay, next to finish off the flower here, you'll notice that we've got this little nub there. This little set of leaves actually has a little score mark at the very edge. So what you want to do is just kind of put it between your two fingers and press down with your pointer. Once you kind of start curving it, you can then take your two fingers and just give it a pinch right at the tip. Okay, so I'm just holding with these two fingers, pushing down with this one until I can kind of feel it give, and then I can just take and pinch with my two fingers. Okay, now the idea here is, well, we need to build the flower first. And just like we did with the smaller flower, you can do the same thing with this one. Just place it between your finger and your dowel, pull the petal up towards you about 90 degrees, and then run the dowel through. And that's just going to give it a little bit of an oomph, give it a little bit of dimension. Okay. Now we're going to take one of these, just throw a little drop of glue right in the little circular part in the center, and pop it right on top of the other one. You want to offset it so it's not right on top of the previous set of petals. You want each petal to be visible. Okay, and then we'll take this little stamen piece and just drop a little dot of glue right in the center. Pop that right in the middle of our flower. Make sure it's mostly centered as you can get it, like that. Then we're going to take and put a little drop of glue on this little circle here. I might have overdone it there. Take the middle of your flower, pop it right on there, like so. Okay, and then we're going to take this entire thing and just kind of glue it like this. You want a little bit of this leaf hanging over this little wood part. Okay, so let's grab our glue, throw that on there, and glue that into place like so. And then this is the actual back of the card, but on the back, so this is actually going to be facing forward. It's the back of the card that's facing forward like this. Okay, but on the back of it, I'm going to throw a little white panel on here. And this is where you can write your little message, do your stamping, whatever it is you want to do. I'm just putting this on now so I can thicken this piece up a little bit, make it a little more sturdier, because now we're kind of getting into the last part of our assembly here. And put that right on the back. Try to center it as accurately as you can. You want to make sure that you have just a little bit of a border going around the perimeter. Try to make it as even as you can all the way around. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to glue this like this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some glue and apply it to this tab. I'm going to try to make sure that I get glue on the entire surface. More surface area will mean that it will be stronger. Okay, and we're just going to, actually what you could do, I'm going to do it this way just so you can see what I'm actually doing. when you apply this on there, make sure that this piece is flush with the bottom and flush with the side right there. So flush here and flush here. You can see how that looks. And then once you have it in place, you can actually press it down like so. Okay. And then we're going to take and apply glue to the other tab. Get that nice and even. Try to cover that entire tab. Okay, and we're going to take this now, and same thing, just on the other side. We're gluing it down like so. Make sure it's flush with the bottom, flush with the side. And what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to fold this down flat, because this thing needs to be able to fold back and forth and still remain flat. Check your work here, make sure everything is nice and flush. Okay, I'm going to continue pressing down in that little corner there. It needs just a little extra love. Okay, and now that is our card base. And inside the base are going to go all of our layers. Okay, so we actually have 3 layers that are going into this one. And we're going to start from the back and work our way towards the front. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to start off with this layer here, and I'm going to apply my glue to both of these tabs, nice and even, just like we did just a second ago, assembling the main base. Okay, and run that glue out to the very edges of each of these tabs. I'm going to tuck these in just a little bit, and we're going to slide this in. These tabs here, they need to be facing away from you, away from the design. We're going to put this inside here and push it and force it as far back as it'll go, flush with your surface, and those tabs, the tips of them, should be touching the back of the card. And then what you can do, if you can't get your fingers in there, because this is a little bit of a tighter space, grab a dowel and use that to push that tab up against the sides. And once you have it kind of touching a little bit, what you can start to do is fold this over onto itself to press down on those tabs. Okay, I'm going to fold it this way now. It should be able to go back and forth. Okay, if you feel like it's not, gently push down and keep pushing down. What that's going to do is it's going to kind of relieve some of the tension at these folds where the score marks are. Now this one here, I didn't have enough glue on that, so I need to just keep holding that down until it's fully set. Hopefully I don't need to reapply. Nope, that was good. So you can see how the base of this is, the tip of that is touching the back. It's also flush with the bottom, so it stands up, okay? So that's that layer. The other 2 layers are gonna go in the same exact way. So next up is this one. Make sure that you fold the tabs away from you so they're towards the back. We're going to slide it in and push it back as far as it'll go, just like we did with this layer. And then we're going to glue them to the side. Okay, so let me get some glue on this guy here. And we'll go here. Whoops. And spread that glue out nice and thin. Try to get it covered as much of that surface area of the tab as you can. Ideally, you get the whole thing covered. If you don't, it won't really make or break it. Okay, so go ahead and slide that in. Push it back as far as it'll go. Make sure it's flush with the bottom, just like that. Okay, and once it's got somewhat of a grip, you can slowly take it and just start folding it onto itself. Okay, keep your eyes on it. I'm going on this side now, and I'm going to press that down. Probably a good idea to go back and forth 2 or 3 times. And I'm watching the tabs here just to make sure that they are in fact staying connected and glued to the sides. And let's take a look at the end result there. That looks good. It looks like they're holding on nice and strong. And you can see how cool that is. And there's still one more layer. So that's just going to add to how cool it looks. Okay. I am going a little bit quick here. Ideally, I would leave a little more time for these little tabs to dry on the sides, okay? But so far it's working out for me, despite me going a little bit faster. All right, so last layer here, same thing, same process. Let's get the glue on these tabs. And again, the tabs are going to be facing away from you. Okay. Okay, and let's pop that in there. Again, it's going to go as far back as it can go until it touches the previous layer. Okay, so get that back there. Make sure that your tabs are touching the sides, and then you can go ahead and start folding to get those tabs glued down. Now technically you can just fold it once and just stay there for a minute to really make sure that that glue's getting tacky and it's holding on, and then at some point go ahead and shift it back the other way and press down. Okay, so there it is. Very beautiful, super dimensional looking, especially with all the inking. So that's done. Again, don't forget to really take your time and give yourself a little extra time for those little tabs on each of the sections to dry. If you don't, it will probably not stay for you. So be patient with that. Now for the envelope, which of course we always include an envelope with every card, we have this two-tone thing going with the little flap here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this piece that has a little bit of a design cut out of it, and we're going to glue it on top of the green piece, which is just a solid piece. So go ahead and get your glue on this section here. You can work a little bit in between the little gaps between the petals there. Okay, and it's going to go right on top of this, just nice and flush all the way around. Check all the sides, make sure it's as flush as you could possibly get it. Okay, and next, what we're going to do, you can see how this is going to look. We want to line up the green section with the little cutouts here for these little, I guess you'd call them leaves. I don't know what else you would call them. But we do want to make sure that we only put glue on this little flap here. Okay, and actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to put glue on just the perimeter of this. Keep it as close to the edge as you can get it. Okay, and then I'll throw a little bit of glue right around here, and then work it around this little design. Okay, and as I mentioned, you need to place this, and just kind of looking through the front, I want to get that aligned with the little, I guess you'll call them leaves. Get that nice and centered, and then just press that down and hold. Kind of almost gives it like a debossed or an engraved sort of look. I wanted to try something a little bit new with these envelopes. That looks really cool. Okay, so that's great. Now, next we just need to put the last piece on here. I'm going to take and actually, this is kind of just like a little tool used for, I think it's mostly for vinyl, but I kind of use it as a bone folder. All right, anyway, let's get some glue on this bottom tab. We're going to take the top of this and kind of anchor this first and not try to do all three sides all at once. Try to do too much sometimes, it ends up in a disaster. So go ahead and get that right on top of the tab, nice and centered, right out to the edge. There we go, and press and hold that for a moment. Let's get the glue going on these two tabs here. Go over to the other one. Okay, and spread that glue out nice and thin. Try to cover as much of that tab as possible. There we go, beautiful. And then go ahead and close it up. Should just fall into place. If you've got it anchored accurately at the bottom there, the rest of this is very simple. Okay, there we go. Very cool. Looking good, looking good. And I'm not gonna do it right now because I tend to overdo this sometimes. I force it. I'm not gonna slide it into the envelope until this is fully dry, but you can see that it will fit in there nicely, nice and flat. I mean, as flat as it can get with all the layers, obviously. And that is beautiful, look at that. But definitely take a look at the final photo so that you can see where I added a little bit of bling, like of course in the center of these flowers here, and on the bird's face for his eyeball. It's pretty much gonna do it. So yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please take a moment and hit that little subscribe button. You can see my little counter back there. I always walk into the studio and I see the numbers going up, which means that it's a great way to know that you guys really enjoy my videos. So if you do, I know if some of you may watch them. Actually, there's a statistic that says that over 53% of the people that watch the videos are not subscribers, and that's because we have them all embedded on our website. But if you have a YouTube or a Google account, Gmail, whatever it is, just head over to YouTube and hit that subscribe button. It definitely helps us keep in touch with you. So anyway, with that said, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, I look forward to crafting with you again.